Everyone stood frozen in horror as Chioma pressed the knife closer to the baby's trembling neck. The child's cries filled the kitchen, sharp and piercing. She shook violently. Don't come any closer, or I swear I'll kill him. Lillian broke instantly. He's just a baby. Have mercy. Her voice cracked as she turned desperately to the officers. Please, help him. She'll kill my child. Nnamdi stared, numb, the scene unfolding like a nightmare he couldn't wake up from. He had come home early to surprise Chioma with dinner. Instead, he had found police on his doorstep, a crying neighbor, and now his wife with a knife at their baby's throat. The baby he thought was his son wasn't, and the woman he loved was unraveling before his eyes. Chioma, he managed, voice shaking. Put the knife down. Give him to me. She recoiled as if struck. How dare you ask me that? He's not ours, Nnamdi said, tears streaming uncontrollably now. You know it. I know it. Look at him. You pushed me, Chioma screamed. You told me if I gave birth to another girl, I shouldn't bother coming home. You destroyed me. Nnamdi staggered. The truth hit like a slap. He had said that in anger, frustration, pride. He never imagined she would go this far. Chioma, I didn't know. He choked. But stealing a child, that's wrong. What about our child? Where is our daughter? She's with me, Lillian said, voice low, shaking. You have my son, and I have your daughter. Nnamdi turned to her slowly, dread crawling up his spine. Dear God. Chioma's sobs shook her entire body. I did it for us, for our family. I didn't want you to leave me. You did it for yourself, Lillian snapped. You raised my son as your trophy and abandoned your own daughter, your own child, like she didn't matter. Chioma's face crumbled, every layer of her collapsing at once. I couldn't face you, she whispered. I couldn't face anyone. And your daughter? Lillian demanded. She deserved a mother, but you threw her away. Chioma stared at her, something dark and broken flickering in her eyes. Then she moved. Before anyone could understand what was happening, Chioma lifted the baby higher with her left hand, then drove the knife into her own abdomen with her right. A scream tore from Lillian's chest. She lunged, catching the baby as Chioma's legs buckled. Nnamdi rushed forward just in time to stop his wife's collapsing body from slamming to the floor. The officer swarmed in, shouting commands, but the child's cries drowned out everything else. The room erupted in chaos. Several weeks later, Chioma sat propped up in her hospital bed, pale and weak. Her recovery had been excruciating. Physically, She would leave, but her freedom was gone. The moment she healed, she was going straight to prison. The room was quiet, except for the faint hum of machines. The second bed in the ward was empty. She felt painfully alone. She shifted and grimaced. "I need to pee," she muttered. Then louder, "Nurse? Nurse!" After a long moment, a nurse with a hardened face appeared in the doorway. "Why are you shouting?" "I need to pee," Chioma said. The nurse eyed the handcuff attached to the bed frame. "Your parole officer isn't here. I'm not responsible for locking you." "Can I at least have a bowl? Please, it's urgent." "Bedpans are in my department," the woman said coldly. "You wait. You are not bedridden." "This is serious," Chioma insisted. The door suddenly creaked open. Chioma's mother entered, followed closely by her mother-in-law. Chioma's breath caught. "Mama," she began. Her mother raised a hand, sharp warning. The nurse slipped out, leaving Chioma alone with the two women who stared at her with nothing but disappointment and disbelief. Her mother's voice trembled with anger. "You know your next stop is prison, right? The moment you are discharged." "I know," Chioma whispered. "What possessed you?" her mother asked, voice rising. "Did I raise you for this disgrace? You didn't even think of your own child. You gave her away, just like that. Why, Chioma? Why? I wasn't able to visit and help you with your last baby because I was helping your sister in the United Kingdom. I returned home 2 days ago to this news. How could you, Chioma?" Chioma looked away, unable to speak, the weight of her choices crushing her. Her mother-in-law stepped closer, her expression stern and wounded. "Now, I understand your behavior the last time I visited. The rudeness, the defensiveness, you were hiding something." "I'm sorry," Chioma murmured, barely audible. Her mother's voice cut in, sharp but trembling. "How long did you think the lie would last? There is nothing hidden under the sun. You took another woman's son and paraded him as your own." Chioma lowered her eyes. "I was desperate. I know it doesn't excuse anything." "Desperate for what?" her mother shot back. "A male child? I told you, even when your husband lashed out after your third daughter, that it wasn't your fault. Children are gifts. Only God creates life." Her mother-in-law exhaled deeply. "Thank God Lillian has her son back. And your daughter is with us now." Those words ripped through Chioma. She had cared for that baby boy as though he were hers. Fed him, held him, loved him. And she hadn't even been allowed to say goodbye. She swallowed hard. "Where is he?" "Who?" her mother asked. "The boy," Chioma whispered. "My son." Her mother-in-law shook her head. "You need to let go of that child. He isn't yours." Chioma nodded faintly. On some level, she had accepted it the moment she plunged the knife into her own stomach. Reality had shattered everything she built. "Where's Nnamdi?" she asked after a moment. He's still deeply hurt, her mother-in-law replied. He's been consulting lawyers about your case. Lillian refuses to drop the charges. Chioma closed her eyes, pain tightening in her throat. Please, tell him I want to talk to him. Neither woman responded. Her mother simply watched her, silently measuring the damage. Her mother-in-law gave a small shrug before speaking. I feel for that little girl you abandoned, she said, her voice thick with resentment. She's with us, but she cries every night, calling for Lillian, the woman she knew as her mother. The words pierced Chioma like arrows. She couldn't even lift her head. Shame pressed her down like a weight she could never escape. You haven't even asked about her, her mother added quietly. Chioma blinked, startled. Who? Your daughter, her mother said. You haven't asked how she's doing. Chioma's gaze dropped again, her breath shaky. How could she ask? How could she face the daughter she had thrown away for a child who wasn't hers? Her mother's tone softened, if only slightly. She looks just like you. Even if Lillian hadn't discovered the truth, one day that resemblance would have exposed everything, seeing that the two families shared the same compound. Just then, the door opened. The female parole officer walked in briskly and headed straight to Chioma's bedside. Without ceremony, she uncuffed Chioma's wrist from the iron post. This may be your last night here, the officer said. Tomorrow, you'll be transferred to the women's prison to await trial. If I were you, I'd enjoy the fresh air while you can. Where you're going is a different kind of world. Chioma didn't respond. She touched her healing abdomen, pushed herself upright, and slowly walked toward the bathroom. Each step weighted with the reality she could no longer outrun. 1 month later, Chioma sat stiffly on the wooden bench, her cuffed hands trembling in her lap. The low murmur of officers, the shuffle of boots, the distant clatter of paperwork, all of it pressed down on her like a suffocating blanket. The reality of prison loomed ahead. Cold walls, loneliness, the consequences of choices she couldn't undo. For a moment, a dark thought flickered through her mind. Should I just give up? Should I end it all? But she forced it away. She had made her choices. She had to face them. And most of all, she had her daughters to think of. The idea of them growing up without a mother was painful enough. The thought of them growing up with a dead one was unbearable. Slow, familiar footsteps entered the room. She didn't need to look up. She felt Nnamdi's presence before she saw him. An ache that wrapped around her ribs and squeezed. This is it, he said quietly. His voice tried to remain steady, but the fracture beneath it was unmistakable. She kept her eyes on the floor. She couldn't bear to look at him, not after everything. He stopped in front of her, fists clenched, breathing uneven. Do you have nothing to say? After all this, you still can't even look me in the eye? Her breath hitched. Words sat heavy in her throat, too thick to swallow, too painful to speak. The girls keep asking for you, he continued. Even his anger sounded tired now. They miss you. I miss you, Chioma. A tear slid down her cheek. She wiped it quickly, but he saw it. The moment tugged something inside him, something that had been buried under rage and disbelief. I never asked you to steal a child, he said, voice quieter now, shaking. I never asked you to do this. All I ever wanted was a son. His words struck her, but not with sharpness, with grief, with the weight of years of wanting, failing, and hurting each other. How, Nnamdi? She whispered. How was I supposed to give you what you wanted? With the sperm of another man? Should I have slept with someone else? You've had 4 daughters. Doesn't that tell you something? It takes 2 to make a child. Her voice rose, raw, cracked, full of years of hidden pain. And for the first time, he faltered. His anger evaporated. In its place stood a man who looked suddenly small, suddenly wounded. He opened his mouth to speak, but nothing came out. His shoulders sagged under the weight of everything unsaid. For the first time, she saw him fully, not as the man who pressured her, but as someone drowning too. Someone who had won his expectations like armor, never realizing how deeply they caught her. Then the door opened. Lillian stepped in with her husband beside her. Her eyes were red, but her posture steady, determined. The room shifted around her. We've decided not to press charges, she announced softly. Chioma jerked her head up, stunned. She couldn't process the words. Not press charges? After everything? What? What did you say? Her voice cracked in disbelief. Lillian held her gaze, expression unreadable at first. But then something gentler surfaced. We are not pressing charges, she repeated. I can't take a mother away from her children. I can't let your girls grow up without you. No matter what happened, I won't destroy you. The words struck Chioma harder than any insult. Her knees buckled. She collapsed, sobbing uncontrollably. You forgive me? She whispered, though she couldn't believe it. Lillian's eyes shimmered. Do I have a choice? I wanted to hate you. God knows I tried, but I can't. You made a terrible choice, but you're not a monster. I can't be the reason your children lose you forever. I won't do that to them. Chioma buried her face in her hands. I don't deserve this kindness. What I did was unforgivable. Nnamdi, who had been silent through the exchange, stared at Chioma as though seeing her anew. Understanding dawned in his eyes, painfully, slowly. His eyes glistened with tears, his voice trembling. I failed you. I failed us. But Chioma couldn't look at him anymore. The love she once felt for him had turned into something unrecognizable. I've made my decision, Nnamdi, she said softly, but with the weight of finality. Our marriage is over. The words hung between them with an air of finality. Nnamdi's face crumpled, his hands falling to his sides. Chioma, please. But Chioma stood tall. For the first time in what felt like forever, she said to Nnamdi, I need to find myself again. I need to raise my daughters the way they deserve without carrying this burden. He stared at her, but there was nothing he could say. Chioma had made her choice. In a few months, Chioma and Nnamdi's marriage came to an end in a quiet, painful conclusion to a love once filled with promise. The house, now stripped of its warmth, stood as a silent witness to years of memories, laughter, arguments, moments of joy, and deep sorrow. But in the end, it was the weight of unmet expectations, unspoken resentments, and a desperate longing for something neither of them fully understood that fractured everything. Chioma, though heartbroken, had found the strength to walk away. She had taken her children with her, determined to create a life of her own, one where her worth wasn't defined by the roles she was forced to play, but by the woman she was at her core. The decision wasn't made in anger, but in quiet, resolute peace. She had to let go, not just of her marriage, but of the heavy burden of expectations that had weighed on her for so long. She needed to be free, for herself and for her daughters. Her husband's family pleaded with her to reconsider. They spoke of the years they had spent together, of the children, of the life they had built. But Chioma, her heart heavy with the gravity of it all, stood firm. She knew this was the only way to find herself again. I've made my decision, she had said, her voice soft but unwavering. I need to be who I am again, for myself and for my children. Nnamdi could only watch as Chioma walked away. His heart was in pieces, scattered like the memories that had once filled the rooms of their home. The regret was suffocating. He regretted the pressure he had placed on her to bear him a son. He regretted every argument, every misstep, every time he had failed to truly see her for who she was, not just the woman he wanted her to be. The house felt emptier without her, a hollow shell of what it once was. He knew that, in his pursuit of something that wasn't meant to be, he had lost the one thing he truly needed. His heart ached for her, for what they had lost, but he could not undo the past. Days passed, and Nnamdi found himself alone, replaying the memories in his mind. If only I had listened to her. If only I had loved her better. But what was done was done. The love that had once burned bright between them had been reduced to ashes. Yet, amid the pain, something else stirred within him. A quiet determination, a resolve to stand by her, no matter the distance between them. He loved Chioma, and that love wasn't something he could just turn off. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also knew that love, in its truest form, meant being there even when it seemed like all hope was lost. Nnamdi vowed to be there for Chioma and their children, to support them in whatever way he could. He couldn't undo the past, but he could be present in the future, no matter how long it took. And so, as Chioma began her new life, but Nnamdi remained in the shadows, patiently waiting. Something inside him told him that all hope wasn't lost, that time might heal the wounds between them. But for now, he would wait, not with a desperate hope of reclaiming the past, but with a quiet belief that someday, somehow, things could be right again. As for Lillian, her marriage was restored, and for the first time in months, joy returned to her home. Her husband held her close again, and their boys, once weighed down by confusion and sadness, became their lively selves once more. Their family eventually moved to a new house, far away from the one they had shared with Chioma's family. A fresh start, a clean chapter. Though she had finally found her son, Lillian couldn't completely sever the bond she had formed with Chioma's daughter. 8 months of loving, feeding, rocking, and comforting a child leaves a mark no mother can easily erase. She asked Chioma for one favor: to visit the little girl occasionally and send her small gifts from time to time. Chioma agreed, her heart heavy, but she could not bring herself to ask for the same privilege. She was far too ashamed. Thank you for watching this episode of She Stole a Baby to Save Her Marriage. Every choice has a ripple, and every life has a cost. May this story leave you wiser. If this story moved you or taught you something, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. The end.